I'm John Motson and welcome to Onside 2010 for BMS. Over the next few minutes, we're going to hear one of the world's best players share his Christian faith and tell us how it's helped him on and off the pitch. We'll see how disadvantaged children can still enjoy the beautiful game at international level, with a report from the Street Child World Cup in Durban, South Africa. And you need to get your brains in gear for the Motty quiz. In 2006, Cyrille Dormoraud captained the Ivory Coast to its first ever World Cup finals. Like many African players, Cyrille's rise came from humble beginnings.
For me, my first memory of football is when my sister bought me some football boots for the first time. Because in Africa, I used to play football with bare feet. When I was a boy, I just played football because I enjoyed it. I only started to become aware of the possibility of playing professionally when I was 20 years old. I was thinking more about my studies, but the Lord had other ideas.
For Cyrille, playing at the World Cup finals in 2006 was a dream come true for him, the team, and the whole nation.
For years, the Ivory Coast has tried to qualify, and it was down to myself and my teammates to give this gift to the nation during a critical time of suffering. The success of the team caused great change. People pulled together more. Everyone was celebrating. I think that God was there in the midst of it all. Before the games, we prayed in the changing room, and after the game, we prayed as well. I always thank God, as it was Him that enabled me to go to the World Cup, this great moment He gave in my life.
Now retired, Cyrille has set up a centre bearing his name to give hope to youngsters from his home country.
It's a training and education center where I give young players from the Ivory Coast the chance to play in Europe, as many have never had the same opportunity that I had. By God's grace, there are about 7 or 8 who are currently playing professionally. I'm achieving my aim to give young footballers this opportunity.
Great to hear how faith and football can mix for one of the world's greatest players. And now it's time for the Motty quiz. Question 1. Roberto Baggio missed the crucial penalty in the 1994 World Cup final for which nation? Question 2. Dino Zoff, Fabien Barthez and Gianluigi Buffon have all been World Cup winners, but in what position do they play? Question 3. Which French player scored twice in the World Cup final in 1998 but was sent off in the final 8 years later? I'll give you the answers later. Football brings people together right across the world, even for those from poorest backgrounds. South Africa hosted the first ever Street Child World Cup.
Just as retired star Cyrille Dormoraud appeared for the Ivory Coast at the 2006 World Cup finals, so Vason is representing his country, the Philippines, at the Street Child World Cup. One big difference is that Vason hasn't had the chance of a good education.
My older brother and I were often jealous of our friends being able to go to school because our father never let us go to school. We had to stay at home all day and work at night to survive. Every time we used to see the other children go to school, we felt sad and envious.
The Amos Trust is a charity that works to educate street children. Chris Rose told us about how they do that.
If children have primary education, if they have a free primary education, they're far less likely to go onto the streets. We know of children from different places around the world, from South Africa and elsewhere, who have gone onto the streets to try to raise money to get your school uniforms, to pay for school uniforms, to pay for books, and to pay for things they need to go to school. And once they start on the street, they get trapped there. They find there's no way back. Once a child is on the streets, it's essential they get into education so they can start to reintegrate back into society. We find reintegrating children back into homes and then assisting them to go to school is the most constructive long-term response. However, that's not possible for every child. If the child's parents have died of HIV/AIDS, if a child's parents are so abusive there's no way they could be taken home, then other responses are needed. The key thing is it can be very, very difficult when a child's trying to survive on the streets for them to go to education. They don't know where they're going to sleep. They've been up all night because the night time's the most dangerous time. How are they expected to go to school? So for us, it's about a number of steps. It's about getting them reintegrated to homes, into accommodation, but also in that process working with social workers, working with programs which start to get them used to the disciplines they need to go to school, to the routines, to the expectations, and gradually get them to a place that when they do go to school, they can succeed there.
Life at home was difficult. Since my parents separated, I've had to take care of myself, so I have to wake up early in the morning to sell bread so that I can study and become successful in the future. I wake up at 3 a.m. each morning to sell bread so that I can pay for my education.
Children like John have hope for the future because they now go to school. Please consider joining us in helping to support projects like this. Find out how you can on our website.
Great to see young people from all backgrounds competing and playing football. Now back to Motti's quiz and the answers. Answer to question 1. Roberto Baggio missed a penalty for Italy in the 1994 World Cup final. Answer to question 2. They are all goalkeepers. And the answer to question 3, Zinedine Zidane was the French player sent off in the 2006 World Cup. They were just for fun, but for a tougher challenge and a chance to win a signed copy of my new book, Motti, 40 Years in the Commentary Box, go to www.bmsworldmission.org/Motti's quiz. Hope you enjoy the beautiful game. This is John Motson for BMS.